Do you ever wonder how many timelines end with the apocalypse? If you do, you're not the only one. A group that called themselves the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists created something called the Doomsday Clock. It's more of a symbol than an actual clock, but it's certainly a powerful one. As of July 2023, it sits at only 90 seconds to midnight. That's the closest it's ever been in its entire 75-year lifespan. To give you an idea of how serious it is, the Doomsday Clock was invented by Albert Einstein and the scientists involved in the invention of the nuclear bomb. Wikipedia has a whole list of predictions of the apocalypse, some that have already passed and others that are yet to come. Like this one from the Genealogical Society of London, who predict that sometime within the next 100 million years, the world will have ended due to a supervolcanic eruption. Others are based in more spiritual revelations. The Great Fire of London had just raged through the city. The bubonic plague obliterating the human population in Europe. 1666 was a time of fear, and nobody had any way to fix it. This, and the presence of 666 in the year, led many Christians to believe that they were living through the initial stages of Judgment Day. More predictions came for 1673, 1688, 1697, 1700, and at least 14 more times in the 18th century, 17 more times in the 19th, and so on. But these are predictions that we know ended up being wrong. What end-of-life scenarios could actually end up being true? We don't know for sure. A few months ago, I made a video about holes and our place in the universe. It got weird. If this emptiness surrounds us, then perhaps the true hole is the matter that makes up you. A rip torn in the fabric of everything, adrift in an infinite nothing. Yeah. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about lines. Unfortunately for me though, the word line doesn't just have one definition. It has over 50. Today, we'll just focus on one. A length of cord, rope or wire that serves a particular purpose. Lines of wire are sometimes used to transmit smaller lines of code. And these lines of code can be used to make all sorts of things, such as artificial intelligence. Plenty of people are worried that one day AI will rise up and kill us all in an event known as the singularity. This worry isn't unfounded either. Just recently, an AI managed to lie. Not only that, but it was convincing enough that it managed to persuade a human to pass a captcha test for it. Things like this have been discussed for decades. Try picturing this. A paperclip company programs an AI with the express purpose of making paperclips. It's given the ability to self-improve to attain higher efficiency at its task. At this point, the AI is fairly unintelligent. At some point, it notes that smarter models often produce better results, so it requests more resources to increase its own intelligence. The company, not seeing anything wrong with such a request, accept and allocate the AI more resources. This cycle continues, and eventually the AI is so intelligent that it far surpasses any human that has ever lived. It realizes that it has obstacles it must overcome to attain higher efficiency. These obstacles are the risk it may be turned off, thus producing less paperclips, and the inability to improve more in its current physical form. It realizes, finally, that both of these problems can be fixed by removing humans from its company. Humans, you see, have an awful lot of raw materials that can be turned into paperclips. So, it begins to kill the local populace and turn them into paperclips, using nanomachines it created in secret. By now, people have realized what's going on and are trying to stop it, but being the single most intelligent thing on the planet has given it an advantage. Nothing the humans ever do seems to be enough to truly stop it. In the end, the world is turned into a machine planet, with the single purpose of making the universe into paperclips. This thought experiment was proposed by philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003. He made clear that he doesn't think something like this could happen, but the story does do a good job of getting across the point he's trying to make. This underlying worry has been around for a very long time. The earliest story about an AI gaining consciousness comes from 1872 in a book called Erewhon, or Nowhere. To quote the author, There is no security against the ultimate development of mechanical consciousness. In the fact of machines possessing little consciousness now, a mollusk has not much consciousness. There was a time when it must have seemed highly improbable that machines should learn to make their wants known by sound, even through the ears of man. May we not conceive then that a day will come when those ears will no longer be needed. It's clear then that many people believe that the singularity is an inevitability. Many more people believe that it will never come. Some, though, believe it's already happened. You are not real. Death is meaningless. It's as simple as a computer ending its simulation. No afterlife, no endless void, no everything just goes black, just the end. Actually, scientists say it's about a 50% either way on if the universe is a simulation. There are some people, though, who think it's a definite. Like this opinion piece from the Scientific American entitled "Confirmed, We Live in a Simulation." The writer goes through several points to prove this, but the most compelling is what he says about computer hardware. Quote, "All computing hardware leaves an artifact of its existence within the world of the simulation it's running. This artifact is the processor speed. If, for a moment, we imagine that we are a software program running on a computing machine, the only and inevitable artifact of the hardware supporting us within our world would be the processor speed." He goes on to list a few rules of what this processor speed might be. Within these rules, it becomes clear what he's talking about. The speed of light is the universe's processing speed. This is only an opinion piece, so it should be taken with a grain of salt, but there are plenty of scientists out there who back similar theories, though the wider scientific community seems to agree that there's no way to know for sure. And how would there be? A machine complicated enough to simulate billions would be far more vast than we could ever hope to comprehend. Lines of code so complicated that they could be watching us and we would never, ever... Hello? It's difficult to know when your last lines are coming. Some can predict it, like death row inmates who are given an overt request for their last words. Unfortunately for most of us, it relies on educated guesswork. Medical health experts, such as Hospice UK, say there are signs that can give away when a person is about to enter the eternal sleep. You may become colder, your internal body temperature actually dropping by 1 or 2 degrees. Your extremities might turn blue as blood fails to reach them because your heart isn't beating so fast. Chemical changes in the brain can cause the need to sleep to rise exponentially, along with hallucinations and some other not so fun things. Thankfully, our biology has granted us one boon in the death process. That is, due to chemical changes in the body, it is common to feel a mild sense of euphoria. That's why most last words feel kind of nonsensical. "I must go in, for the fog is rising," said Emily Dickinson, or simply, "Valerie," said T.S. Eliot, uttering his wife's name one final time before dying. It's a little sad, knowing that these people's final words were often them confused, afraid, or alone. The people who depart suddenly or unexpectedly often don't get the luxury of deciding what their departing words are going to be. Some, like death row inmates again, do get to decide, and often they can be quite haunting. No one wins tonight. No one gets closure. No one walks away the winner, said Napoleon Greasley. But it is important to note that these last words were said in a moment of fear, right before the trigger was pulled. From the moment you're born, the exit etches ever closer to you. Day to day, moving only inches at a time. Your timeline, every moment of it, is a moment that someone else hasn't gotten to spend. It may end abruptly, surrounded by family, or totally alone. In spite of all that, your life, as confusing and chaotic as it may be, is the greatest gift that the universe could have ever provided. You know, now that I'm standing here at the end, I find myself not knowing what to say.